Unseen places, the world's most dangerous hanging sanctuaries. 400 meters up, a hotel operates without a ground-level entrance. One temple, founded 15 centuries ago, supports 40 rooms in ways modern eyes misread. Reaching these heights was only the first test. Keeping walls, roofs, food, and worship secure demanded constant labor. The cliffs deny flat ground and easy roads. Wind, ice, rain, and loose stone punish every weak joint. Builders cut chambers into rock, locked timber onto ledges, and hauled heavy loads up exposed faces. Modern capsules, lifts, and walkways answer the same pressure with steel and cables. I want to understand not only why elevation was worth the effort, but what must remain protected once access becomes easy. In this video, we examine where devotion, engineering, and restraint meet on unforgiving ground. The cliff offered shelter by making almost every ordinary task harder. At Mesa Verde, the largest alcove dwellings were built from the late 12th century through the 13th, after generations of farming and building on the mesa tops. This was never one isolated refuge. It was a broad ancestral landscape, with hundreds of dwellings and settlements tied to fields, water, storage, ceremony, and family life. Cliff Palace and Balcony House reveal the full load: multi-room masonry blocks, towers, plazas, storage chambers, and circular kivas. Ceremony stood beside household work and shelter. Every wall demanded muscle. Builders quarried sandstone, shaped each block, mixed earth and mortar, and hauled timber across ground where a missed step could stop the work. The alcove solved one problem and created another. Its overhang blocked much direct weather and offered shade, but seepage entered the stone. Winter freezing widened cracks, and rockfall pressed from above. Daily survival still reached beyond the cliff. Most farming remained on the mesa above, so food, water, and stored goods had to cross a steep divide. Ladders bridged levels. Narrow passages and hand-and-toe holds cut into rock turned each journey between home and field into disciplined physical labor. By about 1300, the communities had migrated south. Prolonged drought, resource strain, social change, and wider regional ties all mattered. The people did not simply vanish. That distinction changes the meaning of preservation. Pueblo peoples maintain ancestral connections to Mesa Verde, so these walls are not ruins cut loose from living communities. Modern crews now track cracks and moisture, repair masonry, control tours, and close fragile routes when visitation becomes another force on the cliff. The endurance of sacred life commands my respect. Preserving it now demands restraint. A church is cut into a mountain wall nearly 800 meters above sea level. At Madonna della Corona on Mount Baldo, the cliff is not scenery behind the sanctuary. Natural rock forms parts of its walls and ceiling. Religious use reaches back to medieval hermits and monastic life. As pilgrimage grew, builders enlarged the sanctuary rather than abandon the severe site. They cut deeper into the mountain, then pushed walls, chapels, and terraces outward over the slope. The result is neither a freestanding church nor a simple cave. Stone does more than carry weight here. It enters the worship space, joining prayer to the same mountain that makes access difficult. The approach preserves that difficulty in two different forms. From the settlement above, a road and descending path open the sanctuary to far more people. The older route rises from the Adige Valley through a long sequence of steps and devotional stations. Exertion, repeated turns, and partial views delay arrival. That delay matters. The climb separates ordinary movement from worship, using distance and steep ground to control the body's pace. Modern access changes the balance, but it does not have to cancel it. The easier descent widens participation, while the traditional ascent retains pilgrimage's harder rhythm. Keeping both routes open demands constant work. Retaining structures hold the slope. Stairs wear. Crowds compress at tight points. Emergency access must remain clear. The overhang shelters the church, but fractured rock admits water, leaving dampness and stains. Freezing and thawing then strain stone and drainage. This is where engineering must show restraint, protecting worship without smoothing away the cliff. That hard balance is why the endurance of faith here commands my deepest respect. Beneath today's guarded boardwalk, broken slabs and exposed brackets mark the route hydroelectric workers once used. Near Malaga, the route clings to the limestone walls of Gaetani's Gorge, often on a ledge only about 1 meter wide. At the start of the 20th century, workers built it to move between hydroelectric plants, water channels, and construction points. Concrete slabs sat on metal brackets drilled into the rock. This was industrial access, stripped to a narrow line for moving labor and materials through terrain that resisted roads. The name came after King Alfonso XIII visited the hydroelectric works in 1921. The cliff did not become easier. Decades of neglect broke that narrow structure. Slabs vanished, supports stood exposed, and long gaps made the route uncontrollable. Accidents in 1999 and 2000 forced closure in 2001, though unauthorized climbers kept entering. The answer was not to erase the old path. A redesigned timber boardwalk opened in 2015, fixed above or beside the surviving concrete. That choice matters. The ruin remains beneath the guardrails, showing what decades of exposure did to the original. Helmets are mandatory. Entry is regulated, movement generally runs in one direction, and wind or poor weather can shut the gorge. Tunnels, forest paths, and a suspension bridge extend the journey. Yet every safeguard accepts one limit. Limestone, river, and weather still set the terms. The new path earns its place by controlling movement while leaving the damaged concrete in view. The surviving concrete remains visible beneath the new boardwalk as a warning. Safe access should reveal the gorge's limits, not edit them out. A monastery nearly 900 meters above a valley was built around sacred caves, not around a practical foundation. Buddhist tradition holds that Guru Rinpoche reached this cliff in the 8th century and meditated in a cave. The present complex formed around it roughly 9 centuries later. Taktsang Palphug, known as Tiger's Nest, occupies separate rock shelves above Paro Valley. Its white walls, timber balconies, temples and stairs obey the cliff rather than flatten it. The complex has no broad, single-level foundation. Its builders linked ledges around the meditation caves, accepting broken levels and tight margins. The approach keeps that choice physical. A maintained mountain trail climbs through forest, then drops by steep steps, passes a waterfall, and rises again to the entrance. Pack animals can cover only part of the route. The final movement remains on foot, so pilgrimage still demands time, lungs, and balance. That isolation carries a hard cost. Timber, drainage, fire prevention, and visitor movement must all be managed on shelves with little room for error. In 1998, fire destroyed much of the complex. The inaccessible cliff slowed firefighting and made every load of reconstruction material harder to deliver. Bhutan rebuilt it in traditional form and reconsecrated it in 2005. Recovery returned worship to the caves without replacing the cliff's discipline with convenience. That restraint remains active, not ceremonial. Fire prevention, timber maintenance, cliff drainage, and visitor control now carry the burden of continuity. Modern access matters only when it serves pilgrimage without erasing effort. The path reaches the monastery, but does not make the final climb ordinary. This is what earns my deepest respect. Worship returned to the same ledges, and the demanding climb remained. A castle that looks medieval survives because modern concrete holds it above a fractured cliff. Swallow's Nest stands about 40 meters over the Black Sea, yet the present building dates only to 1911 and 1912. Leonid Sherwood designed the compact neo-Gothic landmark for Baron von Steingl. Its turrets, pointed forms, and balcony create the outline of a much larger fortress. The building is smaller than that silhouette suggests. Its outer walls and terrace follow Aurora Cliff so closely that the sea-facing side appears suspended over open water. The exposure is real, not theatrical. In 1927, a strong earthquake cracked the cliff and damaged part of the terrace. Repairing masonry was not enough. Engineers had to secure the architecture and the rock carrying it. Later work added reinforced concrete and anti-seismic support. The restored landmark reopened in 1975, but reinforcement did not end its exposure. Fractures, weather, and salt-laden coastal air still attack the materials. Preservation depends on monitoring the building and the cliff beneath it. A sound wall means little if its foundation of stone is ignored. Here, engineering proves itself through restraint, not bulk. This is not a monastery. Its height was chosen for architectural drama, not worship. Its contrast with elevated sanctuaries is exact. Here, the cliff serves the image. Crimea is internationally recognized as part of Ukraine and has remained under Russian occupation since 2014. That unresolved control shapes current access, administration, and conservation. Swallow's nest proves a hard rule. Preservation succeeds only when engineering supports the structure without overpowering the terrain that gives it meaning. A family home can stand 4 stories above a rainforest floor, supported by a living tree and lashed with rattan. In Indonesian Papua, most documented Korowai tree houses rise 8 to 12 meters. Heights above 50 meters are not typical, despite the image promoted outside the forest. Height solves several pressures at once. It lifts the household away from floodwater, insects, and animals, while opening the structure to moving air. The forest supplies the structure. A strong living tree, timber, bark, rattan, palm material, and leaf thatch. Builders raise a platform, lash the frame, then finish a steep roof for tropical rain. A notched trunk or simple ladder controls the final approach. Every load must climb that narrow route, from roof leaves to food and water. Inside, the engineering margin is tight. A hearth, sleeping areas, people, and stored material all press on a floor whose safe weight is limited. Then the climate begins its work. Humidity softens fibers and timber, smoke wears at the roof, and wind keeps pulling against the tall frame. So occupation means continual maintenance. Roofs, lashings, and platforms demand repeated repair, and rebuilding becomes part of the building tradition itself. Outside media often isolates the tallest examples and turns them into a fixed image of Korowai life. That misses the strength of the tradition. It adapts instead of remaining frozen for spectacle. Many families now also use ground-level settlements linked to schools, markets, churches, health services, or government programs. Modern access has changed where life is supported, but it has not made the old knowledge meaningless. Season after season, the house survives because skilled hands return to replace what humidity, smoke, and wind have weakened. Inside Ganlu Temple's sandstone cave, a single column catches the eye. The load, however, travels through interlocking beams, surrounding frames, and the rock itself. The builders did not flatten a terrace. They accepted the cave's uneven floor, walls and ceiling, then fitted timber into the few contact points the rock allowed. One central wooden column dominates the structure, but it does not carry the temple alone. Interlocking beams, surrounding frames, and the cave's geometry spread the load through the whole assembly. Halls stack at different heights. Steep stairs and narrow platforms connect them, compressing worship, movement, and maintenance into a vertical plan with little room for error. The cave ceiling provides a major advantage. It blocks much of the direct rain and reduces the need for conventional tiled roofing across the most protected sections. But shelter creates another pressure. Moisture can linger, ventilation becomes harder, and sandstone sheds grains or changes when water works through it for long periods. Timber brings its own demands. Fire control is critical because the religious complex is wooden, tightly enclosed, and difficult to reach quickly from outside. Preservation therefore happens at the joints and drains. Crews must inspect connections, guide water away, manage visitor loads, and replace damaged pieces without breaking the historic frame. Centuries of repair and rebuilding have kept the present complex standing. Each intervention must strengthen the frame without remaking the cave into an easier site. That restraint is what I find most powerful here. Faith did not erase the hostile terrain. Builders accepted its limits and raised a sacred structure inside them. A monastery fixed to a cliff can survive centuries, then close because the mountain above it shifts. Sumela occupies a narrow ledge on Mount Mila, about 1,200 meters high in Turkey's wet Pontic Mountains. Tradition places its origin with two monks in the 4th century. Most of the surviving complex took shape later through Byzantine development, the Empire of Trebizond, and Ottoman repairs. The core is not a grand platform but a natural cave. It holds the rock church, where layers of frescoes preserve the marks of worship, repair, and changing rule. Around that chamber, builders compressed chapels, cells, kitchens, guest rooms, storage areas, a library, and courtyards into the ledge. Every wall had to answer the same hard limit, almost no level ground. Water made occupation possible and survival difficult. An aqueduct carried a supply across the slope, while the Pontic climate forced constant attention to roofs, channels, and drainage. That pressure did not end when monastic life ceased. After upheaval and population movements in the early 20th century, Sumela was abandoned and later became a monument and museum site. Orthodox worship still returns on occasion. Yet the cliff, not the calendar, now sets the hardest terms of access. Rockfall forced long closures. Engineers removed loose material, anchored unstable sections, installed barriers, and added monitoring, because restoring painted rooms means little if the face above remains unsecured. A maintained mountain route now reaches the complex, but weather and conservation can still redirect movement. Access here is not a permanent victory. It is a controlled concession. Sumela can reopen only provisionally. The mountain above remains active, so every anchored section and monitored fracture is a condition of worship and visitation, not a final victory. Food, water, building stone, and even people once entered Holy Trinity through open air. The late 15th century monastery crowns a Meteora pillar roughly 400 meters above the valley floor, where no road or broad summit path could reach. The pillar began as sediment and rounded stone, bound over time and cut apart by erosion. Its sheer sides granted isolation, then charged a physical price for every meal and repair. Hermits first occupied caves and ledges before organized monasteries spread across the formations. At its monastic peak, Meteora held about 24 houses on these heights. Only 6 remain active. Stone and timber rose in baskets and nets. Food, water, tools, and people followed by pulley, turning daily survival into a vertical lifting operation. Rope ladders could be withdrawn, protecting silence and worship. The same barrier made weather damage and routine maintenance harder to answer. That tension still defines Meteora. Access can preserve the monastery, but too much can weaken the separation that gave it purpose. In 1925, workers cut about 140 steps into the pillar. Ordinary entry no longer depended on ropes, but the route still drops into a ravine before forcing the long climb back up. The stair did not defeat the mountain. Wind, rain, freezing, and thawing still work against rock and buildings, so upkeep remains a contest with exposure. I keep returning to the labor hidden inside the quiet. Loads secured, ropes checked, steps cut, stone repaired. None of it was decorative. Each task kept worship possible. Modern access earns its place only when it carries repairs, without turning the summit into ordinary ground. What commands my respect is the faith that kept lifting food, water, timber, and human effort up this pillar for centuries. A route built for spiritual withdrawal now requires steel cables and clipped harnesses above open air. More than 2,000 meters up Mount Huashan, the passage follows a tradition about 700 years old. Huashan is one of China's sacred Taoist mountains, where height once served a clear purpose: distance from noise, traffic, and ordinary life. Tradition links the early passage to Taoist priest He Jizhen during the Yuan dynasty. He was seeking a secluded place for spiritual practice, not an attraction. That motive changes the meaning of the route. The cliff was not scenery, but a barrier deliberately accepted. Granite offers almost no level ground. Wooden boards rest on supports fixed into the rock, while chains and iron footholds turn a sheer face into a narrow line of movement. The structure seen today is modern and maintained for visitors. It is not an untouched medieval walkway. Its achievement lies in control, not comfort. A continuous cable runs beside the boards. Harness lanyards must be transferred along it, one section at a time, while hands manage clips and feet search for firm placement. Exposure is only one pressure. The harder problem can be another person coming the opposite way, where limited passing space forces both bodies to slow, turn, and cooperate. Then the mountain changes the rules. Rain slicks timber and granite, fog removes depth, ice and high wind can close the crossing altogether. Modern equipment reduces risk, but it cannot make Huashan ordinary. The cable protects movement only when each clip, foothold, and decision is handled with restraint. Huashan's older purpose survives only while the cable protects passage without making seclusion feel effortless. A sacred complex occupies the top of a volcanic remnant, with barely enough ground to contain it. Tongkalat rises more than 200 meters above central Myanmar, reached by a covered stairway of 777 steps. It is often folded into the name Mount Popa, but the two landforms are distinct. Tongkalat is the harder volcanic core left standing after softer rock weathered away. That origin governs everything above it. Pagodas, shrines, bells, and terraces must share a summit where every meter of level ground is under pressure. The climb is not simply access, it is religious discipline made physical. Footwear comes off, so heat, dust, and damp stair surfaces meet bare feet all the way upward. Buddhist practice also meets Myanmar's veneration of gnats along this route. The result is not one isolated monument, but a compact sacred landscape stacked onto a narrow volcanic crown. The staircase carries another pressure. Macaques gather where food and people concentrate, taking bottles, bags, and loose objects when feeding draws them closer. That behavior creates more than inconvenience. It adds rubbish and sanitation work to a route already forced through a single steep corridor. The stairway is not reserved for pilgrims. Every supply, repair tool, and load of waste must use the same ascent, while the summit offers almost no spare ground. Modern access could make the ascent easier, but ease is not the only measure of success. More capacity would crowd worship, add rubbish, and push more traffic onto the confined summit. At the top, worship depends on an unglamorous circuit. Supplies rise, waste descends, and cleaning begins again before the next crowd arrives. At Kipina, an entire monastery could cut itself off from the outside by lifting one short wooden bridge. That single gap guarded an early 13th century complex fitted into a vertical cliff in Epirus, where stone closes the cleft and natural rock forms much of the ceiling. The boundary between cave and building is never clean. Builders sealed the exposed face, while the mountain supplied rear walls, overhead cover, and the limits of every room. The church and compact supporting spaces were fitted around irregular rock. Painted surfaces and devotional areas occupied only the ground the cleft allowed. The drawbridge reveals the engineering logic. During unrest, raising it interrupted the final approach. Protection rested on one controlled connection, not massive fortification. Behind the worship area, a cave runs roughly 240 meters into the mountain. Darkness, narrow passages, moisture, and seasonal water make it far different from a prepared escape tunnel. It may have held supplies or provided temporary refuge. Claims of a confirmed route to another exit remain tradition, not established fact. The cliff recess blocks much direct weather, but seepage and humidity threaten plaster, paintings, and timber. Protection from the outside creates pressure within. Modern access depends on a maintained path, railings, and bridge components. Those additions must secure the approach without turning isolation into ordinary convenience. Raise the bridge, and the monastery becomes remote again. That small motion captures the bargain. Enough connection to sustain worship, never so much that the boundary disappears. An 8th century earthquake split Maijishan into eastern and western sections. Clay figures and painted chambers still survive close to the fractures. At Maijishan in Gansu, modern stairs and walkways rise about 80 meters, but the first builders worked from posts and beams fixed into the rock. Work began around the 4th and 5th centuries and continued under successive dynasties. The result is 194 caves, thousands of sculptures, and extensive wall painting. The cliff stood along a cultural corridor linked to the Silk Road. Buddhist imagery moved through it, carrying influences from Central Asia into different regions of China. Many figures were not cut from solid rock. Artists shaped clay over wooden frames, gaining expressive faces, layered clothing, and large compositions at the price of greater fragility. Moisture can soften clay. Vibration, aging timber, and movement in the cliff can disturb the support hidden beneath a face or folded robe. That weakness met enormous force in the 8th century when a major earthquake damaged Maijishan and split the complex into eastern and western sections. Many chambers survived close to the fractures. Their survival was not proof that the cliff was safe. It was proof that devotion had accepted exposure from the beginning. Modern walkways solve one problem and create another. They let people reach the caves in a controlled way, yet every footstep adds traffic near vulnerable clay and old timber. Conservation teams therefore monitor unstable rock, water infiltration, aging supports, surface damage, and vibration. They must protect the art without removing it from the cliff that gives every chamber its meaning. Maijishan earns quiet awe because faith chose no easy ground. It fixed worship to a cliff, leaving each generation the harder duty of keeping sacred art and harsh terrain intact. The world's tallest outdoor elevator begins by disappearing into rock. At Zhangjiajie in Hunan, Bailong rises more than 300 meters, then carries glass cabins along an exposed cliff in less than 2 minutes. The lower run crosses a shaft cut inside the formation, then the cabin breaks into open air, with quartz sandstone pillars and forest suddenly filling the view. That reveal is carefully engineered. 3 double-deck elevators move groups of about 60 at roughly 5 meters a second, replacing a far longer mix of roads and walking. Speed is the machine's great achievement and its central problem. A landscape formed on immense scale becomes a short vertical transfer. The lift does more than shorten distance. It concentrates people at one cliff face, and peak queues can last far longer than the ascent itself. Every fast trip depends on work that remains out of sight. Engineers monitor guide rails, machinery, power, wind, evacuation procedures, and the point where structure meets cliff. Nature is not merely the setting. The lower shaft sits inside rock, while wind and weather bear on the exposed upper section. The larger dispute is not whether the elevator works. It is whether mass access belongs inside the wider Wulingyuan landscape at this scale. Supporters see efficient movement and time saved. Critics see machinery changing the encounter itself, replacing effort and gradual ascent with capacity and speed. I return to that trade. Engineering proves strength, not only by reaching an impossible height, but by knowing how much convenience the place can absorb. Bailong shifts the question. Engineering has already proved it can erase the climb. What remains is whether a protected landscape should absorb the speed, capacity, and altered encounter that follow. After an exposed alpine approach, the reward is not comfort, but 8 free bunks on a ledge at nearly 2,800 meters. Bivacco Buffa di Perero began during the First World War, when Italian and Austro-Hungarian forces held the Dolomites' high ridges and passes. Cold, thin supply lines, and the mountain itself pressed every position. Building here meant hauling materials through steep terrain. then assembling a hut on a shelf barely wide enough to hold it. The structure is small because the ledge permits nothing more. Crews also fixed cables, ladders, and protected routes across the range. Those works did not conquer Monte Cristallo. They created a narrow margin for movement and shelter. The approach includes fixed cable climbing sections, loose rock, and alpine passages whose safety can change with the weather. Snow can obscure the line. Lightning, wind, and sudden cloud can erase the advantage of fixed hardware. The door is open without payment or reservation, but that freedom is easy to misunderstand. 8 bunks are assigned only by arrival, and no place is guaranteed. There is no staff, electricity, stove, running water, or meal service. Every climber must carry food, water, bedding, clothing, navigation tools, and climbing equipment. If the bunks are occupied, the route does not negotiate. Those arriving must be ready to continue, even after the approach has already consumed strength and daylight. This is where modern access proves its limits. Cables support judgment. They do not replace it. A free shelter still demands planning, restraint, and the discipline to turn back. Eight bare bunks leave the limit unmistakable. The shelter can save strength, but it cannot supply judgment or guarantee a place. A luxury bedroom hangs where a normal front door cannot exist. The capsules of Sky Lodge are anchored about 400 meters above Peru's Sacred Valley, with no lobby, corridor, or ground-level entrance. Access begins with safety instruction and lanyards clipped to fixed cables. Iron rungs and footholds turn the cliff into a protected climbing route. That protection does not remove the exposure. It controls it, one deliberate movement at a time. The suites use aluminum frames and weather-resistant polycarbonate. Their transparent walls admit the valley, clouds, and night sky, but conceal none of the height. Inside, beds, a dining space, solar-powered lighting, ventilation, and a private dry toilet provide hotel comforts. Outside, the cliff still sets every rule. Food, water, linens, and maintenance equipment must be carried or hauled upward. Waste must travel back down rather than drain onto the rock. Guides coordinate movement, meals, and emergencies where ordinary service access does not exist. Wind, rain, or poor visibility can slow the climb or change the operation. I keep returning to the hidden labor behind the transparent room. Luxury here depends less on decoration than on cables, maintenance, trained guides, and strict control of supplies. The danger begins with access itself. Engineering can open a cliff without making it ordinary, but only while guides, supply limits, and waste rules remain stricter than the promise of luxury. Sky Lodge turns the central question into daily work. Choosing the height is only the first act. Sustaining purpose, there means carrying in every necessity and carrying every consequence back down. A living monastery rises from a cave nearly 4,000 meters high, yet no road reaches its walls. For 6 centuries, Phugtal has held to a narrow ledge above the Tsarup River, supplied only by human backs and pack animals. Religious practitioners used this cave before the present monastery took shape in the early 15th century. The Gelug foundation did not flatten the mountain. It fitted worship into the little ground available. Stone walls, mud brick, timber beams, and whitewashed cells descend below the cave mouth. Every room answers the same pressure. Build lightly, brace carefully, waste no ledge. Inside the rock, a spring carries both practical and religious weight. Water here is not scenery. It supports life where supply is never simple. Food, fuel, medicines, books, and repair materials all finish their journey on foot or animal. A missing load can affect meals, lessons, maintenance, and prayer. Winter snow and ice can seal Zanskar off. Summer brings heat, loose rock, and difficult river conditions, so isolation merely changes its method. The walls also record that pressure. Rain and repeated freezing and thawing wear mud-based construction, forcing patient repair with materials that must survive the same approach. Worship, teaching, storage, and shelter therefore share one hard limit: the path. The route is not outside monastic life. It governs monastic life. I find the strongest lesson in that dependence. Better access could ease every burden, but careless access could crowd the sanctuary and weaken the seclusion that preserved it. Phugtal earns reverence not because faith escaped the terrain, but because generations kept worship, walls, and water working within it. An ancient-looking settlement hangs over a gorge, yet no ancient community ever occupied these cliffs. The scene in Jiangxi was built as a modern attraction in and around a former granite quarry. Designers made the quarry walls the core of the attraction. Traditional-style roofs, timber-colored facades, lanterns, waterfalls, and planted slopes manufacture the impression of a settlement carried intact from the past. But the resemblance ends at the surface. Behind it sit contemporary structural supports, utilities, drainage, fire protection, and visitor services built for a heavily managed destination. That hidden work is the real engineering story. A damaged industrial cut had to become stable ground for paths, bridges, accommodation, shops, and performance spaces. Water and vegetation soften the exposed stone, while chosen viewpoints conceal or absorb the machinery that keeps the attraction operating. The quarry is not erased, it is disciplined. After dark, warm lighting turns the cliff face into the main draw. Large crowds then press into narrow paths and viewing areas where vertical circulation leaves little room for error. Staff carry the burden that the historical illusion hides. They manage queues, cleaning, water features, lighting, slope drainage, and emergency access across steep layered ground. Every graceful roofline, therefore, depends on modern control below it. Water must be routed, slopes watched, and people moved without breaking the atmosphere they came to see. The pressure is also factual. If presentation outruns evidence, skilled placemaking can become a false story about an ancient cliff community. Restraint means naming the result honestly. This is a manufactured past built in a former quarry, not a surviving sanctuary. Wangshan Valley's achievement is reclamation, not antiquity. Naming that distinction plainly keeps engineering from becoming counterfeit memory. For years, one monk lived on this limestone summit, dependent on a near vertical ladder, a pulley, and supporters 40 meters below. The Katski pillar rises about 40 meters above western Georgia, and its only fixed route is a near vertical iron ladder. Natural erosion shaped and exposed the monolith. Early medieval Christian ascetics turned that separation into discipline, establishing worship where builders had almost no margin for error. Every beam, water container, and tool had to rise from below. At the summit, weight decides what worship can physically sustain. The restored complex is compact by necessity. A chapel, living space, and small working areas compete for ground, so storage always takes room from prayer, shelter, or maintenance. The summit fell out of use, leaving ruins later documented and restored during a renewed monastic presence. Restoration did not erase the cliff. It rebuilt a working agreement with it. Monk Maxim Kavtaradze lived above for years, but isolation never meant independence. Supporters below raised food, water, tools, and other supplies by pulley. The pulley carried the hidden structure of life on the pillar. Waste, repairs, medical needs, and severe weather still tied the summit to people on the ground. The ladder remains restricted rather than serving as a public climb. That restraint matters, because easy access would turn a place built around separation into another elevated attraction. I keep returning to the hard balance. Faith sought distance, yet endurance required cooperation. The pillar holds both truths without disguising either one. Modern engineering proves its worth here not by making the rock easy, but by carrying only what worship and repair demand. Katski earns deep respect because those who sustained worship accepted the height and the daily labor required to remain there. Worshippers remove their shoes before the last exposed climb to Abuna Yemata Guh. Its final sacred approach crosses a ledge only about half a meter wide, high on a sandstone pinnacle in Ethiopia's Geralta Mountains. The surrounding cliffs and isolated towers were cut by erosion. The church answers that terrain by using the rock itself as wall, roof, and shelter. Church tradition links the sanctuary to Abuna Yemata, an early Christian figure tied to the spread of monastic practice in the region. Steep handholds and footholds replace stairs. Local priests and guides identify the established line, generally without the fixed cables used on commercial climbing routes. Shoes come off before the final approach. That act makes the contradiction plain: bare feet, exposed stone, and a sanctuary still serving regular worship. This is not an attraction maintained only for outsiders. Clergy and worshippers climb for services, feast days, and the regular care that keeps a remote church active. Inside, the space contracts into a compact sanctuary of domes, crosses, biblical figures, and frescoes dating mainly from the 15th and 16th centuries. The dry, sheltered interior has helped those pigments retain vivid color. The hard approach has also limited casual handling and crowd pressure. Yet sandstone erosion, dust, smoke, and uncontrolled visitation can still wear down what isolation helped preserve. Here, engineering proves its worth only when it preserves both the church and the demanding boundary around it. What commands my respect is not the risk alone. It is the repeated labor of carrying worship up the same bare rock, while restraint keeps the painted sanctuary intact. I admire the force of belief that raised these places, but modern engineering changes the test. Steel, concrete, cables, and lifts can overcome distance in a few years. They can also bring crowds, vibration, waste, and commercial pressure into settings shaped by isolation. The true measure of power is therefore restraint. Access must stop where rock, ritual, old masonry, and timber come under strain. Preservation cannot mean freezing sacred places into exhibits. Many still serve living communities. It means repairing them carefully, limiting intrusion, and accepting that some thresholds should remain difficult. The age that built higher proved its command of terrain. The age ahead will be judged by whether it can protect what height once protected. My conclusion is plain. Engineering earns respect when it guards meaning, not when it opens every ledge to consumption. Continue with documentaries that look beyond spectacle, toward the harder test of human skill. Protecting sacred isolation while keeping old structures, living worship, and the mountain itself secure.